But you see, what I mean, though.
I do. Like, I get it. Just the stink face for me was one of those moves. It was like, why?
Well, it was comedic.
It was comedic. It served its purpose, but I think
scissor kick. That was another one. I really liked the way that he did the scissor kick. I like R-Truth better, but
yeah, I like R-Truth better because it wasn't sold as a finisher.
and he spins like a lot.
Yeah,
like his lie detector, he spins a lot. Then there are moves like Test's big boot and JBL's clothesline from hell that were exceptional for those moves.
Which are typically mundane moves that everybody pretty much did.
Man, trying to come down to one more. So difficult. Oh man, this is going to be devastating to me. Because there are other moves that have come from this that are fantastic. But Shooting Star Press, Billy Kidman.
Ooh, yeah. That was a fantastic move. And at the time, nobody else had ever done it.
No. But I mean, Evan Bourne did it. And his was probably better because of the way that, he did it far more fluid. Like, he could cover more air.
But his character just, I don't know, something about him did not click. And
no,
maybe
but
it was
I'm saying, the move specifically.
Yeah.
Like, his was a little more fluid than Kidman's, because Kidman, he couldn't get as high.
Yeah.
So, it's like, Evan Bourne could, he would be in a full, his body would almost be in a full circle, and he just sort of whee! But Kidman's was innovative, and he still landed it.
Yeah.
So, and I love to go with Ricochet's 630 or Mustafa Ali's 054. But it most of that stuff happened because the Shooting Star Press.
Right.
The Phoenix Splash, the 450, the 630, the double rotation moonsault. Those are all cool, but the original Shooting Star Press was oh my god.
Yes, it was. It absolutely was.
It's like Neville / Pac with the red / black arrow.
Yeah.
It's that move is insane, but I don't see that happening if the Shooting Star Press wasn't before it.
So let's take this a different direction. What about tag team finishers?
Okay. Do you want me to name my favorites, or do you want my opinion on it?
All of the above.
My opinion on tag team finishers is, that a tag team is solid, and they are a legit tag team when they have a tag team finisher. But I don't think that every tag team should have a finisher, but I do think that it's not utilized enough. And in the case of, say, RK Bro.
Yeah.
They a double RKO. Not necessarily a tag team finisher, but it is still a tag team finisher.
Yeah.
They could do it together, but that it wasn't ever necessarily their thing.
Right. It was
that's not the 3D.
Right. And the way they put it off with Riddle and Orton was that Riddle was learning from Orton
Yeah.
and trying to impress him and, trying to befriend him and this, that, and the other.
But, like, the Tower of Doom, the 3D
Doomsday device.
Tower of Doom.
Yeah.
But, you had the old finishing moves, but those seemed to die out. And a lot of it was a double DDT or, a double drop kick.
You had the heart attack.
It's... the heart attack, it looked painful, but it never seemed like a finisher to me. Like the ones, like the 3D, like you lift them up super high and they get cuttered. That looked devastating. The Hardy Boys extreme combination.
The twist of fate into Swanton?
Yes. During DX, there were a couple times where Shawn Michaels would super kick or sweet chin music someone into Triple H pedigreeing them.
Yeah. But, they weren't exactly tag team moves, but...
They were tag teams that worked so well together that they could mold
their single stuff with it.
Yes. It was a way to make a tag team finisher, when they would need one.
And that's one thing I miss from the wrestling world now is tag team specialists. I miss those teams that they're a team because they work together on their finisher.
Well, and like the Street Profits, why don't they have one?
Right.
They are, and that's another thing that I really don't like about today's world is you're either a tag team or you're singles. There's no... I don't understand why you can't have, the Street Profits, but, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins can each go for, the United States title.
Yeah, I don't see why.
I don't see why the Usos could never go after singles titles while they were tag team. I don't understand why Kofi and Xavier Woods can't be going after,
I don't see why Kofi isn't going after the world title again.
Well, but my point is, it seems like you're either in a tag team or you're going for the singles. There's no, crossover unless you're in a tournament that you lose.
Well, and they're trying to put tag teams on the show that are two singles wrestlers. And they're, just mashing them together. You had Austin Theory he was Intercontinental title all the way, and then he gets put in a tag team with Grayson Waller.
No, but see, A-Town Down Under, their name works. And they both have the same attitude. And if they would put them in as a solid, a legit team and not have them, fighting at each other's throats all the time, I think that they could make a good tag team. But it's they just...
I think they could, but they've been billed as singles wrestlers, essentially, that are being forced to tag up.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that's confusing. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, they're a tag team right now, but they can still function as singles wrestlers. I don't understand why that's not happening more. If you had that, if you had tag teams, actually be able to function
in the singles world,
yeah, I think that would be super cool. And if they're on different brands but still a tag team, for example, you have Owens and Sami Zayn. They could still technically be a tag team. They're just not currently together. The Usos being on different brands. They're still the Usos, but it's just Jimmy's here, Jay's there.
That's an interesting thought.
I don't know why, since you're over there and I'm over here, we have to break up. Why? Why can't Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford be on different shows but still be the Street Profits? I mean, like, look at back in the day. They separated Bubba Ray and Devon, right?
Yeah.
Devon became Reverend Devon, and Bubba sucked. Like, WWE did not handle Bubba well as a singles guy.
No, they did not.
But then I think it was Survivor Series, Bubba's getting the crap beat out of him by 3-minute warning, and out comes Devon. You know, at pay-per-views, you can come to help your partner. You know, you can reunite with your partner. But then you go back to your show and you still put on a good single show.
See, but then you don't actually have the tag team aspect of it because they're not fighting together.
But I mean, if you're not going to have them, you know, be in the tag team title scene, why do you have to break them up? You know, you just have one of them go after a singles title, and then you have the other one just sort of be in the background waiting, and then you maybe find a rivalry for them, or, you know, ship them off to another show, have them work with someone else, but never break up the team. That's the stuff I never understood. Why do you break up teams instead of just have them go on a hiatus? It's like, hey, you know, well, this isn't goodbye. It's just, you know, till the next time I see you.
I think it's because in splitting up the team, if ever it does come to a story point plot where one is getting beat down pretty bad, the other one can come out and it'll be that much more exciting because it was not expected.
No, but I mean, like, for example, when Sammy and Kevin went to different shows, you know, they parted amicably. You know, like, they didn't have a tag team name. It was just Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Right.
But it's like, hey, you know, like, you're going there, I'm going here. They were backstage at WrestleMania when Sammy was going out to face Gunther.
Yeah.
KO was waiting for him. And was like, hey, you go out there. And then when KO went out for his match, Sammy was there saying, hey, now it's your turn.
Yep.
Different shows, but they were staying, you know, on good terms. They were staying a team.
As friends.
Yeah. So I don't understand why they can't do that anymore. And then every now and then, oh, hey, you know, like, hey, it's a premium line event. Kevin Owens is getting beaten down. Wow. What do you know? The person beat down Kevin Owens just got Blue Thunder bombed. Oh, now the next one got Haluva kicked. Oh, he's falling out of the corner. KO's up. Stunner. And then they go back to their own shows. It creates the possibility that the person on the other show will come out to defend their friend and then fade back away onto their show.
Yeah.
You don't know.
I can see that. But in all honesty...
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked from what we were actually talking about.
Yeah, in all honesty, I prefer... I would prefer to see more tag team specialist groups that have tag team finishers, like legit tag team finishers. And I think that's
like
one thing.
Eminem Snapshot.
Yeah. Like something where both people are doing something to a person that is absolutely a finisher. Like they're doing it now with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They've given them a tag team move. Even though I still feel like Jade Cargill and Belair are singles wrestlers, I don't think that they should necessarily be a tag team. I think.
See, that's the thing. I think everybody should be both.
I don't think everybody should be both. I like that there are some guys that are strictly singles wrestlers.
Well, but like, look at R-Truth. No matter where he is, the guy is fantastic.
That's true,
But
because
then,
he was a comedic act.
But like with The Miz, he has done singles and tag team, and he has done well in both. I think that, like at some point, LA Knight should be able to go for tag team gold. I don't believe that he should just be a singles guy his entire run.
See, here's how I feel. I feel like you're either a tag.
What about Jey Uso? Do you think he's only tag team?
No. I think Jey Uso now is a solo act. I don't. I'll be honest.
No, that's his brother.
I'll be honest. I don't even want them to bring back the Usos. I want to see Jey succeed as a singles wrestler now. That's my personal point of view. I don't want the Usos to tag up again.
Okay, well then you have the Hardys. The Hardys were an amazing tag team.
Yes.
But Jeff Hardy was loved as a single star.
He was.
If he only stayed as the Hardy Boys, he never would have had that.
But let's be honest, he only really flourished as a tag team wrestler. He got a world title, but he lost it immediately because he couldn't keep himself clean. And the only way
him keeping himself clean wouldn't have only been it's not like if they were a tag team, he would have never been on drugs.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm sure he was prior. But either way, I feel like, Jeff Hardy, he could have been a premier singles wrestler. But I think the world is only going to remember him as a tag team wrestler now.
What about, Triple H? He was singles for all that time, but look at all the factions that he was a part of and are historic.
Well, see, you touched on something I was just about to get to. Factions.
Which is a bunch of singles guys?
Not always. There's usually a couple of singles guys and a tag team.
Oh, you mean like the New Age Outlaws?
Yeah. Yeah, New Age Outlaws, Triple H, HBK.
NWO had the Clique.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, the Outsiders. So they were part of the Clique.
Usually they have a dedicated tag team within a faction. Typically. Not always. Tonga. Yeah, the
Usos.
Tongaloa.
Okay, well, what about Evolution then?
Like I said, it is a typical thing. Evolution was one of those that was what I think was supposed to be was Ric Flair and Triple H being the dominant singles guys, and Orton and Batista were going to be the tag team. And then it turned out that these guys were amazing as singles wrestlers.
Well, Batista had his ups and downs.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it felt like some of his stuff
fell flat.
It's like he wasn't in it. But then there were other times where he was just top notch.
Mm-hmm.
But Randy Orton was just always...
Yeah, he was always a game.
He had that heel charisma. He's under Triple H's tutelage probably, but he is like this generation's... I can't really say this generation's because it's not really his generation anymore. But the generation after Triple H, he was like their Triple H, heel-wise.
Yeah, he was.
The guy could play a heel so unbelievably menacing.
Yeah, he absolutely could. But I think with factions, they have a dedicated tag team because they want that tag team gold. Then they have the singles wrestlers because they want those singles titles. And if they can have them all, then that's your dominant faction.
All right, well, what about Judgment Day? Where you have, the fact that the Judgment Day has changed like 4 times now. But you have Finn Balor and JD McDonough as the tag teams. If anybody should have been a tag team, it should have been JD and Dominic.
Dom. Yeah, I think that was a huge mistake. I think Finn should be in the world title scene. Yes. I've thought that for a very long time, ever since he had to walk away from the Universal title. Yes. But the fact that they've pitted him with JD McDonough as the tag team, I think is a mistake.
I think they did that because of the fact that, JD is like the next, like, big Irish
Well, that's fine and dandy, but still.
So having him under the tutelage of Finn, I mean, like, look at what they did. They had Batista win the World Tag Team Championships with Ric Flair.
Yeah.
It was Ric Flair mentoring, so to speak, Batista. You had a bunch of guys come in and win world titles, and then, be the big shots. And then they bring in new guys and have them win tag gold with those former world champions.
Yep. But I think, if anything, that is more of a reason to have tag team specialists, so you can create these interesting factions that can be dominant forces in the wrestling industry.
All right, well, what about guys like Shelton Benjamin then? Phenomenal in a tag team, but I feel like could have been a really good singles guy if they'd let him.
Could have been, definitely, but wasn't. Like, guys like him, I don't think he had, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he had the mic skills, the charisma necessary. He had the moves.
This is where we get managers.
He had the athleticism. He needed more training on his promos. He needed more training on his,
But this is where managers come in handy.
That's true. That's true. They do. But I still feel like because of his physical attributes, putting him in a tag team was probably the best thing they could do. His lack of mic skills, charisma.
Like, that's when Bobby Lashley was at his best, when he had a manager. With MVP, he was at his best. You drop MVP, Bobby Lashley's meh.
Yeah, and I don't think Lashley belongs in the major picture. I really don't. I know they've tried to prop him up as the Almighty and this, that, and the other.
Bobby Lashley, he's talented.
He is.
But it's just, when you put him in with all these other guys who are just as talented, but can do the same things. Yeah. But it's like, with Shelton Benjamin's athleticism, like, I've always said, I wish Matt Hardy had gotten at least one world title. Just because, like, he put so much into the business. It would have been nice for him to have that on his resume. Now, he got some in other companies. I think he got the
AEW.
TNA and I think Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, even if he lost it, like a week or two in at most, at least he would have had that win. And a lot of people said, he doesn't have the personality for it. Okay, but as much dedication as the guy put in, it would have been nice for him to at least be able to say, hey, I won it. Sure, I didn't keep it, but I won it. Look at Kofi.
Kofi I'm still pissed off about.
Well, me too. But the point is, the guy put in so much dedication, he deserved it.
He did. And
he didn't keep it long, but people still remember it.
Yeah, Kofi Mania was amazing.
And that was 5 years ago.
Oh my God, it was, wasn't it?
WrestleMania 35. Oh. And we're approaching, we're like, what, 6-7 months away from WrestleMania 41?
Yeah.
But and then you have Big E. Like, I never understood that. He was just a tag team guy. He had charisma. He had athleticism. The guy had it all. Except for the fact that he's black. And Brock Lesnar came around. If you're a black champion, Brock Lesnar's going to take your title.
In 3 seconds.
Not necessarily in 3 seconds, but he's going to take it. Like, look at him. Bobby Lashley, Big E, Kofi Kingston, The Rock.
Huh.
If you're a black champion, Brock Lesnar's going to beat you. Brock Lesnar's racist.
I will be completely honest with you. As far as the New Day goes, I always thought that Xavier and Kofi should have been the tag team. Big E should have been the singles guy. That made more sense to me. But I love that they gave the title to Kofi first.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, Kofi had already won the Intercontinental and United States titles before joining the New Day. So, he had already had singles runs.
Right.
With the exception of the world title, he'd already had a nice singles run. So, he could do that and still not really hurt himself. I mean, he's got a Hall of Fame career no matter what.
But I mean, from the visual aspect, you had a really big dude that looks like he belongs in the world title picture, and you got two skinny dudes.
The one thing I liked about Kofi over Big E is he's one of these guys who can pull out offense basically out of his ass.
Yeah, he could.
That's one of the reasons I think Finn Balor should be a constant main eventer.
I do
That's
too.
one of the reasons that Seth Rollins, in my opinion, is a constant main eventer. The guy can pull shit out of his ass.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's where shit is, so, it makes sense. Like, Roman Reigns, he doesn't have the athletic ability that they do, like the quickness, the ability to maneuver.
No, he doesn't.
But the guy can still function well enough, to be in the main event picture.
Well,
and work well with those guys.
Well, and because of his persona, once he latched onto that persona, that's when it became something big.
But I mean,
because they tried to push him as a face, and it didn't work.
Well,
when he became
from the beginning, it's like they were trying just way too hard.
When he became tribal chief, and he took that and turned it into what it was, that's when it started to click for him, and he belonged in the main event.
But remember, he had been gone because of the whole COVID thing.
Right.
And there was time to, to think about it, prep. It wasn't something that just felt like it was like, we're running with this now. It always felt like they were trying too hard. And it felt like this time, it was thought out. It was, really just imagined and believed by all involved. But the thing I was trying to say is guys like Kofi, Finn, Seth, they can work well with guys like Roman.
Because of their athleticism.
They complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
Roman can't do the things that they can do, but he can help sell the things that they can do while they can help sell the things that he can do. They can make him look stronger, and he can make them look like they can counteract his power.
Yeah.
Guys like, oh crap. Unfortunately, even Brock Lesnar can do that. But guys like Omos or Khali, even Bobby Lashley, they couldn't really sell the smaller guys nearly as well. Now, Bobby Lashley worked well with Finn Balor. But you've got to have that ability to work with the smaller. That's one of the reasons I always loved Rey Mysterio growing up, is he could work with anybody.
Yeah.
Like he worked with Big Show, and, he'd go to drop kick him, and he'd just drop.
Yeah.
He'd bounce off of him. And that, it was just, he could, go through their legs, and he could run circles around them.
Climb up them.
And it was just, I always took Big Show for granted, because of how big he was, I felt like he never really did anything.
He didn't.
But when you look at him compared to all these other big guys, he actually did a lot more than you really thought he did back then. Like, if you look at Great Khali, he didn't really do anything. Hell, I saw Big Show do a drop kick and a kip up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he at least tried.
He did.
You know, it's like Braun Strowman. For a guy his size, he tries to be the best he can be.
He does. He pushes himself. He's really done the work.
So, like, I appreciate those guys. But I think it's the Kofis, the Finns. They're the ones that really make everybody shine.
Yeah, they are the superstars because they are the ones that have the whole package. They have the charisma, they have the talent, they have the athleticism.
But guys like Shelton Benjamin, who are lacking in that charisma, if they had a manager, I think that they could. Like, if Shelton was with Paul Heyman, I think Shelton Benjamin could have easily had a Gunther intercontinental title run. He may not have had, a big world championship, but he could have been a dominant mid-card guy.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been a mid-card guy, but, like, I feel like they don't do the families like they used to. You know, like back in the day when they had a manager, the manager was representing a group of people, not just a few or a single person. They had a multitude of people under them. You know, I don't remember, like...
Didn't Bobby Heenan just do one person at a time?
No, Bobby Heenan had a ton of people he was managing because you'd see him multiple times throughout the night. Same with Jimmy Hart, same with Slick, same with Fuji. They all had a group that they were managing.
Well, yeah, because Fuji was taking all the pictures.
But like, they don't do that now. Now it's like, if you have a manager, it's just you. With exception of, the bloodline.
Hurt Business.
Yeah, I mean, the Hurt Business, but...
Paul Ellering with the Final Testament.
Well, he was with the Legion of Doom first.
Well, but then he was with AOP, who joined Karrion Kross and Scarlett, so they actually have two managers. But anyway, like, I feel like those guys, if you gave Shelton a better finisher than, what was this, pay dirt? Is that what he called it?
I think it was.
The jumping flatliner?
Yeah.
Then I think that he could have had a world championship run because as athletic as he is, I mean, he had the Dragon Whip. Like he did things that when I was younger and he was, the world's greatest tag team was Charlie Haas on Team Angle. It was like, I'm watching this guy, I'm like, whoa, I want to do that.
I remember the same thing. Like, he was unbelievably talented in the ring.
But if he had a better finisher, I think he could have. Like, Matt Hardy had the Twist of Fate. He had a finishing move that could have easily been a world title thing. And I'm not counting the ECW title, by the way.
Clearly.
That was...
Yeah, if Shelton Benjamin had had a better finisher, and I think he would have been a good, dominant mid-carder. I don't see him as being world title until he developed his mic skills.
But see, I transitional champions, that's a thing. I think it should be guys who, wouldn't necessarily be able to make it there, but guys who put in the work, guys who, are athletic and capable, but don't have the personality for the main event scene, make them the transitional champions. Instead of, like, The Miz cashing in Money in the Bank and then losing it on Raw 2 days later.
Yeah, that kind of stuff I don't like a whole lot, but...
let it be, like, have Shelton Benjamin, for example, win the world title, and then at the next pay-per-view, lose it. Give these guys who put in work a 15 minutes of fame and then put them right back on the mid-card where they show off their skills.
Like what they've done with Finn Balor.
Unfortunately, I don't think he is in the same realm, but...
Well, Finn Balor has the mic skills. He has the charisma. He has
Damian Priest.
The athleticism. Damian Priest, I'll be honest, I think I don't think he should have been a transitional champion because I was not on board when he won his title.
No, but what I'm saying is he is one of those guys who he has the size, he has the athletic ability, and he has the mic skills.
Originally, when he won, I didn't feel like he had the it factor. I didn't think he had the mic skills. And I don't, and I firmly still believe that. I don't think he did. But as he went through his title reign, he got better and he really started to cook.
I don't think he necessarily deserved it yet, but I do think he was on the track.
I think he was on the track. But once he got the title, he really started stepping up his game. And I think by the end of it, I'll be honest, I'm disappointed that he lost.
No, but I do like the current rivalry that they have with him and Finn. I do like having Gunther with the title because I do think that elevates the title a bit, because whoever wins it is going to be like Cody Rhodes. Overcome this monster of a champion, a guy who has beaten basically everybody.
Except Sami Zayn.
Oh no, he's beaten Sami Zayn. He's just also lost to Sami Zayn. And it's just...
He brings prestige.
Yes, and that's what I think it needs. I think all these titles need somebody who's going to be an elevate. And that's one of the things that John Cena said that made me like him more. Is he said, your goal as champion is to raise the bar so that the person who beats you can then take that bar and raise it again, and then everybody does that so that, the next person, doesn't fumble. And he said it's the same thing with, like, if I'm the face of the company, my job is to whoever's going to be the next face of the company, try and make sure that they have everything that they need to then elevate the company even more.
And let me cut in right there. That is why I have a problem with transitional champions. Because if you have a huge history with the world title, and you have somebody come in and win the title, and then lose the title quickly, that takes all that prestige and throws it out the window. It takes all of that build-up and throws it out the window. I don't like transitional champions.
You know what I don't like?
Kofi losing in 5 seconds?
Well, that's it. I don't like when they bring back, like...
Brock Lesnar? I don't like it either.
I don't want to say old people necessarily, but like, Goldberg coming back and winning the Universal Championship.
Yeah, I had a problem with that too.
Like, from The Fiend. Like, that just ruined everything that Bray Wyatt worked towards that character for.
Yes.
And like they wrote it so that Seth Rollins had to basically murder The Fiend to the point where a no disqualification match was called off due to disqualification because The Fiend, quote unquote, couldn't be beat, but loses to a Hall of Famer who comes out of retirement. Like, it makes no sense.
It makes zero sense.
And I felt like that tarnished everything that Bray Wyatt had done to make The Fiend work. Everything that they'd written to make The Fiend look indestructible. And it was just...
And it tarnished the championship itself.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Money in the Bank. You give it to Otis, only to have Otis lose it to The Miz, so that The Miz can cash it in, win the title, and then immediately lose it. Or you have Drew McIntyre win it, only to immediately cash it in and fail. Like, if you wanted to have CM Punk screw him, have CM Punk screw him out of winning the briefcase.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping was going to happen. Or at the very least, have that Money in the Bank thing lay out for a while, and then have Drew cash it in, and then have CM Punk.
Yeah, not the same night. Because then now you have to wait a whole year for that again.
Yeah, there is no Money in the Bank men's.
There's not even, like, shock and awe of, oh man, he cashed it in and lost it. Because, like, the night it happened, everybody was expecting it when he said he was going to cash it in.
Yeah.
It's not like, CM Punk was not even supposed to be there, and he makes his grand return like he did at Survivor Series.
Right.
And that cost it. It was just, everybody knew that, Punk was expected to ruin it, and everyone knew that he was going to cash it in. It was so wasted.
It was a wasted effort. Now there's a move we didn't even talk about, the Claymore. That's a finisher that we did not mention, which is, I'll be honest, pretty versatile, pretty exciting.
And not only that, but it was far better than his Future Shock DDT.
Oh yeah, big
which
time.
He still breaks out every now and then. But, the DDT is so played out anymore. And a move like that shouldn't be a finisher. A move like that should be one of those things. Like, I always loved when The Rock did a DDT because it was...
I loved his float over DDT.
Yeah. And, like, I loved The Undertaker. He would, like, run up and just, like,
drop back.
Yeah. He would just sort of, like, throw his legs up in the air and DDT when you're like, oh, where'd that come from?
Now, that's another move that is a very, very mundane move that used to be a finisher. That was Honky Tonk Man's finisher. The shake, rattle, and roll.
Cactus Jack.
And
Cactus Jack used the butterfly cutter.
And Jake the Snake. DDT.
I'm surprised he didn't use the Anaconda Vice.
Yep, it was a DDT.
Well, at least we finally worked our way back around to finishers as we're coming to a close.
But, I mean, being wrestling enthusiasts, there's so many things we want to get into and talk about and really, analyze that it's hard to stay on one particular topic for an entire session.
But, I mean, you have to, you can't just go into it like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Oh, I don't know. You have to have something to at least start with.
But, I mean, these are all very, very valid points with valid people. And, I think the Claymore is the move that made McIntyre a main eventer.
But see, that's the thing. Like with McIntyre, I don't think it's necessarily the move, but he was able. I'm a firm believer, and if you let the superstar or the wrestler or the however you want to call them, if you let them have some input into the character, like even if you say, hey, like with McIntyre, you're going to be the Scottish psychopath. Let's make this character so that, it feels a bit like you. They'll get invested in that character and put some of themselves in it, and it'll be better.
It'll make it work.
Because when McIntyre was able to put some of his own personality into the character, instead of being the chosen one from way back when he was younger,
yeah,
he was phenomenal. When Roman Reigns was able to, find something that he could get into,
Tribal Chief,
it worked. Seth Rollins, he took this visionary, Messiah thingy, and he just leaned into it. He put himself into it, and look at what happened. The dude made fire.
He did.
Stone Cold Steve Austin put his own personality into it. Boom, took off. These guys, when they're able to really put themselves into this character and just have fun with it, they go out there and they're putting on some of their best work because they're out there enjoying it. So it just flows.
Yeah, and it makes it look realistic.
And when you put someone out there and they don't like what they're doing, you can tell.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes it still works, like with Goldust. You could tell that he wasn't really enjoying it, but he was still trying to do his best. But it was...
I'll give you another example. Chad Gable. I don't know why I like his heel character right now, but I do, even though he's a terrible heel. The way he talks is not indicative of a heel, and it seems like he's almost hesitating in every single line.
You got like Otis. He looks like he's out there just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, yeah.
By the way, it's Otis.
Oh, God, that again. Oh, the Maxim male models. What is it? Akira? Akira? Tozawa?
Yeah, they're funny.
Like R-Truth, he's just being himself. Santino, he was intentionally trying to make people laugh and just have fun, and it just worked.
Mm-hmm. And his Cobra, that was huge.
Well, and I loved when it was Sako versus the Cobra, and they basically were making out. And it was just, when you're having fun, it doesn't seem like work.
Right.
And when it seems like when we were doing the whole Deadpool skits, at first it was so unbelievably fun, but then it was like, oh man, I gotta try and come up with something new. I gotta try and do something that I think people will like, and it felt more like work, and then it wasn't fun anymore. And it just, you didn't really want to do it because it just it burns you out.
Yeah, because it's hard to think of something new.
And that's why I like Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, where they're like heels, but they're also kind of facey, because you can tell, it's different.
They have a bunch of creative freedom there that a lot of characters do not have, because they have to be one or the other.
The generic heel, like the Evolution Triple H. I always go back to that. He was boring, bland. Look at me, I'm the champion, I get laid, I'm rich.
He was basically playing Ric Flair.
Well, yeah, but that's it's just he was always better when he's himself.
Yeah. And
it's just a shame when they have this boring ass heel that's just, I kill hurt bad. Ooh.
You people suck. I am awesome.
It's like when Triple H was giving his promos, he was funny as shit, and people bash him so bad, and I just don't get it. Like, he'd go out there, and he had good comedic timing. He had awesome burns. I love the shit that they did when, what it was, TNT, TBS, USA, whatever. It's like, hey, you need to stop with your cussing.
Yeah.
After, 9 p.m., we will not say shit, damn, comedic gold. And they were just being themselves. I will always believe that if you let the person do something that, they can have fun with,
they will always do better.
It will be better.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons that certain people do better, is because they are given a character or whatever that they can do it, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, this works. and they just don't realize what it is that's working.
You're probably right. They probably don't realize what it is that's working, but it just works because it's them.
Because, like, you look at Triple H, and he was meh, and then he was with Shawn Michaels, it was, and then he went to his heel thing, and it was like, and then he went to Evolution, it was, and then he left Evolution, it was like, he's back with Shawn Michaels, and then but as soon as he went to that Evolution thing, it was bottom, because he was so boring, and that just wasn't him.
It really wasn't. I was less impressed by him with Evolution than I was with anything he had ever done.
Even Terrorizing?
Even Terrorizing.
When he was with John Cena and Edge in the main events, even when he wasn't with Shawn Michaels, but DX was still like, like relevant. It was some of his best work because it reminded me of the Attitude Era, the Attitude Era, when I, became a fan. And his time at DX was some of his best. And then after DX broke up, and he became the Game, and, it was with Stephanie, and, The Rock and The Undertaker and Stone Cold, and everybody was sort of peaking.
Yep.
He was right there. And then it's just, that's when I really felt like promos showed who was good.
Yes.
Because, if you can throw good promos, you're out there, you're really, like, well, in a wrestling term, selling it.
Yes. And you are getting people emotionally bound to the story that you're telling.
And now as I'm older, I'm thinking it's because they were having fun with it. And I think that's the thing with Austin and Rock and Triple H and Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Kane, is, like when Undertaker was his badass gimmick, if you look at those now, the dude's like, smirking and smiling, and he looked like he was having a grand old freaking time.
I'm sure he was, because he wasn't allowed to do that the rest of the time.
No, Kane, when he was in Team Hell No, he looked like he was having fun.
That was hilarious.
And those are some of the best circumstances. Now, for a guy like Glenn Jacobs to play an evil guy for so long is impressive. Because it's not like, Mark Calloway, where he's, the stoic dark guy. He had like the hat and everything to help him out. When Kane was demasked, he just had to look pissed all the time.
Yeah.
You know how tiring that had to have been?
I'm sure it was exhausting.
Like, he had to come to the ring, and he had to be like, and then he had to be in the ring going, and then he had to leave the ring going.
But with Kane had the advantage of having the Undertaker. He got to use the Undertaker moves. He got to play off of the Undertaker, so he kind of was able to sneak his way into that role and kind of be the Undertaker.
But I mean, you have to be able to enjoy what you're doing, or you're not going to be able to keep it up.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
And I do think he enjoyed playing the heel, because I don't think that he would have been able to
do it for as long as he did.
Otherwise, he would have been able to continue being fake Diesel or Isaac Yankem.
Yep.
Oh God, those are terrible.
At any rate, I think we've gone as far as we can on this one.
Are you kidding? I'm pretty sure the horse died like an hour ago, and we just kept beating it.
So I think it's about time we
stop beating the dead horse
and put it to sleep. Go to sleep.
It's dead. It's dead. Well, I would say it's resting in peace, but we've been beating that damn dead horse for so much. It's resting in pieces now.
So, on that note, any final thoughts?
Oh, dude, don't get me started on talking again. I've been talking way too freaking much.
So, here is our finisher. Hope you all have a phenomenal, awesome week.
That was a really good way to end that.
Thank you.
And then I just ruined it. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding.